Hi, welcome back to another exciting video of Nice Recap. Today I'm going to explain a 2012 science fiction film called Cloud Atlas. This film consists of 6 interconnected stories, and these stories are interlinked as they advance, showing how they all interact. The film is about how the people's lives are connected with and influence each other. The first story of Cloud Atlas is the Pacific Journal of Adam Ewing, and it follows the traveling adventure of a young notary called Adam Ewing from California on his way home from a business trip to New South Wales, Australia in the early 1800s. His family is in the slave trade. He has been sent to the Pacific so that he can arrange a contract for some Maori slaves with a slave trader from that area. During his journey, Ewing saves the life of a native man named Aotua, who is a runaway slave stowing away on the same ship. Later on, Ewing realizes that he's being poisoned by a doctor he trusted, Dr. Henry Goose, who's trying to rob Ewing as he gets sicker and sicker. In return, Aotua saves Ewing's life, and then his views are changed in important ways as he comes to know the man. Adam Ewing's journal, which recorded his ordeal and rescue by a runaway slave, are later his journal published into a book, which is discovered by the next character in the storyline. After that, Ewing and his wife decide to quit the family slave trade and move east to become abolitionists. The second story of Cloud Atlas is composed of a series of letters written by an arrogant and lusty musician, Robert Frobisher, in 1931 to Rufus Sixsmith, his friend and lover. The storyline follows the tragically short life of a composer who finagles himself into a position aiding an aging composer, Vivian Ayres. Robert Frobisher begins reading the Adam Ewing's journal, which he has found among the many books at Ayres' place. He never finishes reading the Ewing's journal without knowing that what effect it has on the creation of his own musical composition. Frobisher is no saint, and he has an affair with Ayres' wife and falls in love with his daughter, Eva. Ayres threatens to ruin Frobisher's reputation when he encounters Frobisher's own work, the Cloud Atlas Sextet. Ayres forces him to accept second place in the credit for the sextet, but in response, Frobisher shoots Ayres during an argument, then escapes. Luckily, Ayres survives the shooting and sets police after him. He realizes he's facing utter ruin. As Ayres threatened, Frobisher completes the sextet, then sends it to his lover and friend, a Cambridge student, Rufus Sixsmith, and after that he commits suicide. Rufus Sixsmith meets the main character in the third story much later in his life, and we discover Robert Frobisher's Cloud Atlas Sextet has been recorded into an album, and although it's an obscure recording, the third story is about an investigative journalist in the 1970s named Louisa Ray. She meets Rufus Sixsmith by chance while being stuck on a broken elevator. Sixsmith by now is a famous physicist. After leaving the elevator, Sixsmith attempts to recontact Ray as he reveals that there is a conspiracy afoot to cover up a report about the flaws in the design of a nuclear power reactor. When she goes to meet Sixsmith, she finds him just recently dead, an apparent suicide. She discovers that a report written by Sixsmith can reveal the terrible secret. Ray also finds a collection of letters written from Frobisher to Sixsmith many years earlier, while Frobisher was working on the Cloud Atlas Sextet composition. Isaac Sachs, who's a scientist, meets Ray and helps her. CEO Lloyd Hooks sends Joe Napier and his agent, Bill Smoke, to stop her in any way. Smoke has already killed Sixsmith and then Sachs, and now attempts to kill Ray as she gets closer and closer to the truth. Smoke is stopped by Joe Napier. They both escape death by the hands of Smoke. Louisa Ray then publishes an article leading to the shutdown of the reactor after revealing the contents of the Sixsmith report. A weird death and a heavy dose of comedy are served up in the fourth story set in England in 2012. Timothy Cavendish, the owner of a small publishing company who has recently published a small biographical book by a low-life thug. While the book has no hope of making much money, this all changes when the author thug kills a critic of his book by throwing him off a balcony to his death. Suddenly, the book is rolling in money from royalties. When some other friends of the thug come looking for his royalties, Cavendish is put in a tight situation as he doesn't have the money they're demanding, and clearly the hooligans aren't particularly constrained by the law. While traveling by train to the hideout address his brother recommended, Cavendish is seen reading a manuscript that was sent to him. The manuscript is titled Half-Lives, the first Louisa Ray mystery. It is the romanticized version of the third storyline. He arrives at the hotel his brother sent him to, which only the next day is revealed to be a nursing home for the elderly. Residents are treated as prisoners, and each attempt to get out is stopped by the staff, which is revealed to be the nursing home's primary purpose to lock up troublesome relatives. With the assistance of 3 other residents, Cavendish eventually creates an escape plan, and they manage to escape. Once he makes good on his escape, he writes a best-selling tale of his adventures, which is later made into a biopic. The fifth story is about Sanmi 451. The main character is a female fabricant at Papasongs, one of the largest corporations in Neo-So Corpos. In this dark future, she lives in a day-to-day world, each day identical to the next, existing only to serve food to consumers, but her limited life is revealed to be less than she is capable of when another of the clones inadvertently awakens her from her daily slumber. Sanmi 451, through chance, discovers a fragment of the biopic film of the ordeal of Timothy Cavendish on a cell phone PDA left at the Papasong fast food restaurant. This film lays the seeds of the never-ending struggle against injustice. She starts to question all the things she has seen and experienced, including the believed purpose of her existence, from which other clones, and eventually she will ascend after 11 years of work. When her friend, the other clone, is killed, she meets a man named Haeju Im, who it's revealed was behind her friend and then her being exposed to something more than their day-to-day existence. They have been attempting to prove that the clones are the equal of naturally born humans, harkening back to the days of slavery. Haeju rescues her from her life in a restaurant and begins teaching her about the outside world, as well as philosophy, art, and higher values. When they both are captured by the authorities, he escapes, then rescues her from the authorities. He reveals he's actually a former member of the military who has become a member of a revolutionary organization, the Union, taking action against the oppressive government that wishes to free the clones in Neo Seoul. Sanbi 451 is proof that the clones are capable of being more than mere slaves. It takes Sanbi 451 to meet the other revolutionaries who arrange for her to learn what ascension really is, on a ship where they massacre the clones only to reprocess them and use their bodies to feed the still functioning clones. She agrees to assist the revolutionaries, knowing it means capture and death, by writing a manifesto. They capture a broadcast facility and reveal the truth, not just to all Earth, but to the off-world colonies as well. All of the revolutionaries, including Haeju, but except Sanmi 451, are killed, holding off the government's agents. Sanmi 451 reveals all the above while being questioned by an agent of the government, who asks her why she did it all, when the government will make everyone believe it was false. She acknowledges that she goes to her execution calmly, believing that death is only a door, and knowing that one person, her interviewer, knows it's true and that it'll not be possible to suppress the truth. The sixth and final story is about Zachary, who's a tribesman living in a low-tech post-apocalyptic Hawaii, 100 years after Neo Seoul has been swallowed by the sea. His people revere Sunmi and believe her to be holy. Marinim, a member of a far more advanced group of people called Prescients, asks to live with her tribe. Zachary's sister takes her in, and their relationship grows. Zachary is harboring his own secret that he hid in cowardly shame, while barbarians called the Kona killed his brother-in-law and his nephew. People suspect him, and he's largely an outcast, but his sister and his niece still accept and love him. Marinim wishes to cross the mountains to get to a place where she believes is inland, but it's an area fraught with superstitious dread, and no one will take her there. When Zachary's beloved niece is taken fatally ill, and he realizes only Marinim has the ability to heal and save her, he agrees to lead her up the mountains to where she wants to go in exchange for Marinim's assistance. Zachary's fears, personified by his tribe's belief in a god of death named Old Georgie, whisper to him that he must kill Marinim, that he's risking his tribe for an outsider. Marinim and Zachary succeed in reaching a large facility, and he's again pushed by Old Georgie to kill Marinim, and he again resists, but barely. Marinim reveals to Zachary that the world is dying, that all humans, even the Prescients, are doomed, unless they can reach the off-world colonies, if they still exist at all. Most of the Prescients believe them to be dead, and Marinim unlikely fools Aaron. Marinim reveals that the place they are at is the same broadcast facility that Sanbi used to transmit her manifesto. She explains to him that his beliefs are not entirely true, that Sanbi was a human, not a goddess, and shows him pictures and things that prove it. They return to the valley of Zachary's clan, only to see smoke in the distance. Zachary realizes his tribe is under attack by the barbarian Kona and runs ahead to assist. When he arrives, everyone in his tribe is dead, and all the Kona appear to be gone. He sees his sister's dead body, then runs to their hut to find his niece. There he finds one lone barbarian lying in a drunken stupor, and he kills him in rage. He hears a noise and finds his niece hiding in a small niche. At the same time, the barbarians return looking for their clansman, and seeing his horse outside the hut, begin to investigate. They see him lying there, throat freshly cut, and begin to search the hut for whoever killed him. Zachary and his niece flee, with the Kona in hot pursuit. The Kona catch up to them in the same woods, where he hid in cowardice as his brother-in-law was killed. As he's about to die, in much the same place and position as his brother died, the story thus coming full circle. Marinim steps up from the place he hid in cowardice. She uses her advanced weapons and risks her own life to save him, and they kill the half-dozen Kona together. Marinim signals for her own people, and they accept Zachary and his niece in as their own, with Marinim's urging. Finally, it's shown that Zachary has been telling his tale to a large group of children, and that he married Marinim, and that the off-world colonies heard their broadcast and came to rescue the survivors, and that he and Marinim are on another world entirely. One of the most important quotes in the film comes from Sanmi 451. Our lives are not our own. From womb to tomb, we are bound to others, past and present, and by each crime and every kindness, we birth our future. We hope you enjoyed our today's video. If you did like this video, smash the like button and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with the latest and interesting videos.